Hey guys, this video I'll be covering info from the recent Fae channel and I want to share my thoughts on some of these topics. So first off, we have to discuss the new summoning pool changes. At first, this announcement definitely caused a lot of confusion and that immediately turned negative because they really did not explain very well what these changes meant. To clear up any confusion, basically they announced that all 5-star heroes released during Book 1 were going to be removed from new heroes and new special heroes banners. They would still be around during other summoning events. For a topic so important, they brushed over this whole thing way too fast, but I'll try to explain how I think this whole thing works. Going forward, after the next update, anytime we get a banner with completely new heroes, such as the one in a couple days, you will not be able to get any of the Book 1 5 stars from it. However, for any other focus banners, they will still be available in the summoning pool. For example, today the Odd Wave skill banner released. This one doesn't have any new heroes, so I think it would be eligible to summon Book 1 5 stars like regular Lyn or Ira. If you want Book 1 5 stars, you're gonna have to summon on banners featuring already released units. Keep in mind, we won't know for sure how this works until we get a rerun banner after the update. So what does this all mean? By removing all these super old 5 stars, this means anytime you get an off-focus unit, it's probably going to be someone pretty decent, on the virtue that they are newer units with better weapons and newer skills. Here is a list of our new Pity Breaker pool. It actually looks incredibly good, especially for red since we get rid of so many heroes. If you summon on a new heroes banner, the chances of you getting someone decent is way higher than before. At the very least, they may have skills that are newer and you can use those for inheriting. Now, the bad side to this change is that not all of the Book 1 5 stars were undesirable. For example, no one is going to be that mad at getting Pity broken by Hector. Besides them being a good unit or having good skills to inherit, it also just means someone who wanted those old heroes has a lower chance of getting them. This also depends on the individual, since if you only summon on the new hero banners, then you literally won't even have a chance at seeing Book 1 units. That being said, if you really want a specific hero, you were already better off waiting till they got a focus banner than hoping to get them as a random Pity Breaker. Now, I believe the reason for this change was to try and make it easier to get newer units. In that sense, this is actually quite good since you toss out so many older, outdated units. However, it doesn't fix the issue that some of those Book 1 5 stars are way too hard to get anyway. I wouldn't call this change a super awful solution, but I don't think it's that great and what's gonna happen next year and the year after that. One argument is, why not demote those 5 stars? It sounds good, but then we flood the 3 or 4 star pool and we just end up with the same problems. Imagine trying to get Hinata for Fury 3. After last year's demotions, it technically got harder to get him, and if you keep mass demoting units, he just keeps getting rarer. I can understand why they didn't mass demote the Book 1 5 stars, but I don't think limiting them even further is the best solution. I think it's a complicated situation and they had to make a call. I don't agree with every part of the changes, but it's also not as bad as some people want to make it out to be. I am, however, concerned if next year they do the same thing for Book 2 5 stars. I really don't think that will go over very well, and I hope Intelligent Systems figures out a better way to handle older units. Moving on, there were demotions made, and now 12 4 to 5 star heroes will now be 3 to 4 star heroes in the summoning pool. This is the same deal as last year, and the list ain't that bad. If you're a fan of any of these heroes, it should be easier to get more copies of them, at least over time. These demotions go into effect immediately for banners that release from now on. Your first chance at seeing it in action is the Odd Wave skill banner out today. I kinda wanna make a separate video going over each of these units, discussing what they can do for you and what valuable skills they have to offer now that you should be seeing them more often. Next, we have a new feature in the game called Pair Up. It allows you to use 2 units in the same battle, and they can switch out who is on the field at any time. You can even switch after taking an action, which is pretty cool. Pairing up does grant a small stat boost to both units, although I'm not sure if it's a static boost for every pair. The major thing about pairing up is that it is only limited to main story maps, paralog maps, the training tower, and the new Allegiance Battles game mode. Outside of Allegiance Battles, you can only use Pair Up if you have a legendary hero with its new blessing effect. At the moment, this only includes Legendary Roy. It will be available with the next update. Speaking of Allegiance battles, that's going to be our new game mode. The main objective is to earn as many points as you can in a single battle. It has 1 week seasons just like Arena, and it allows you to use pair up with any unit, not just legendary heroes. This mode uses your friends list and you can pair up with your friends' units. It uses Arena scoring to rank your team, but it doesn't look like you're fighting other player made teams. It looks like Allegiance battles consist of pre-made maps and you have to defeat all the enemies on the map. I'm not 100% sure how often you get to play this mode. To me, it just looked like you have as many tries as you want for the week to get the highest score possible, similar to having unlimited attempts to complete heroic ordeal maps. Your score has a lot of factors besides just the arena uses. It seems to combine your arena score with the bonuses for completing certain tasks during the actual battle. We saw that you get plus 5 points for kills with your paired up units, plus 10 points for defeating enemies using the triangle advantage, and also plus 10 points for defeating colorless enemies with colorless units. There were even more bonuses, including quest steps such as KOing a certain enemy on the field. You have a friend bonus that is based on the top scores of your friends list, so make sure you have some good players. Last, there is a synergy bonus, and you get synergy once a week for completing a map. Honestly, that last one seemed a bit odd, but that's okay. So there's definitely a lot of factors in making a high score, and it seems to be a PvE mode where you can use a friends list similar to rival domains. Arena scoring may still be a thing, but hey, at least you won't have to deal with all those annoying arena defense teams, I think. Allegiance Battles has a lot of uncertainties for the moment, but it won't be available until the end of the month on April 27th, so for now I wouldn't worry about it too much. The date lines up with the next Legendary Hero banner, and you can bet whoever it is will have the new pair up blessing effect. I'm going to skip to some news about the next update, 3.4, coming very soon. Along with these summoning pool changes and pair up mechanic, they were adding separate team slots for Aether Raid attackers. You'll have 5 slots for light seasons and 5 slots for Astra seasons, and they will switch automatically when the season changes. This is a nice quality of life change, but I wish they did the same for defense teams. I'd love to have 2 or 3, maybe more slots, just so it'd be easier to test out new defense teams without having to completely remake my old ones. As with every new update, we are getting more new weapons and refines. This time, Kayn, Abel, Hana, and Perry are getting shiny new weapons plus their own upgrades. Kayn gets the Bull Blade, Abel gets the Panther Lance, Hana gets her own katana, and Perry gets her own lance. I'll have a video up on those when we find out more info. For heroic rail units, you will now be able to get access to Valentine's Titania and Pan. That's nice, and both of them are pretty decent units with some good skills. If you're looking to spend money to buy orbs, then there will be some promo deals available. There is a special spring promo that includes 30 orbs and 20,000 feathers for $13. They also mentioned that the usual monthly promo for April will be available too, so that's another deal if you are going to be spending some money. We didn't get any details, but Faye did mention that there will be a Golden Week celebration again this year, starting on April 27th. If you're unfamiliar with Golden Week, it's basically a celebratory time in Japan where a whole bunch of holidays line up, and it's also a time where Japanese gacha games love to celebrate. I would expect a bunch of free orbs and probably some really good bait banners to get people to spend those orbs. The last thing we have to talk about is something a little more lighthearted. A new feature called Aether Resort is being added with this update, and it's more of a fun time killer than serious gameplay activity. Personally, I'm okay with this feature. It looks fun and just something to interact with the game when you have some extra time on your hands. Aether Resort uses a new currency called R&R Infinity. This is used to buy structures for your resort, and some of these structures can be used by your units. To start, you only have a couple units visiting at a time, but you can buy more unit slots with R&R Infinity. To get this R&R Infinity currency, you just have to visit the Aether Resort once a day, and I think that's it. For players who have a lot of orbs, you can also buy a Aether Resort pass, and for the next 7 visits, you get double the R&R Affinity. I don't think this is a really huge deal. If you don't want to spend 3 orbs, you're not losing out too much. Now, the only real useful thing you can get from Aether Resort seems to be a small amount of Aether Stones when you create a structure. There might also be other ways. If you're a hardcore Aether Raids player and every stone matters to you to be able to stay in tier 21 or above, then sure, maybe I guess you're probably going to want to get that Aether Resort pass. Otherwise, I severely doubt this would be an issue for most players. Aether Resort is definitely going to be a chill experience, and if you don't care about it, then you don't have to do anything with it. I think it looks very wholesome, and hopefully we'll get some funny moments out of it. The interactions do seem pretty cool. that about wraps up everything from the recent Fate channel and the next update. Expect the update to drop sometime after the voting gauntlet ends, that's the usual time. Overall, I feel like the major focus of this update will be about those Book 1 5-star units. Those changes have pros and cons to them, but we're just gonna have to see how it all plays out. Pair up sounds interesting, but it probably won't have a huge impact on most players until we get Allegiance battles, where you can pair up with any units, not just Legendary Roy. As for the new mode, it looks alright. I'm happy it doesn't seem to be player versus player, so we can avoid even more salt. Hopefully you don't have to run into more +10 Surters or whatever. Hopefully the mode is interesting. My main concern is that if it's a one and done thing for the whole week. As for Aether Resorts, I'm fine with more fun features, and hopefully they do more interesting things with it in the future. If you have any thoughts on these new updates and features, feel free to discuss it in the comments. I'd say there's a lot of uncertainty with the coming update, and that will for sure lead to a lot of different opinions. Thanks for watching. I'll have some videos coming up soon, plus the new banner is almost here. I'll see you guys next time.